All right, everybody. Yeah, I'd like to talk about these just beautiful instruments that I'm so blessed to be able to play. And these companies have supported me for years, and I want to give them big props. And I'm going to start with DW drums first. Then we'll go to Paiste Cymbals, and then Remo Drumheads. And all three companies have been with me for years and years and years. I'm playing a maple. This is kind of a SSC, specialized shell construction. It's a 24 by 18 bass drum. Generally what I use in the studio for kit one, I start with about this size. As you can tell, it's fat and tight. And that's, you still want that bottom end, but you still want to be able to play soft with it. That's why I always like that. And in this particular size drum set, I have one size larger tom. So I'm using a 12-inch and a 13-inch rack. And then I'm using a 16 and an 18-inch floor tom. And the nice thing about these floor toms that John Good did when he designed these is that they're not square. In other words, it's not 16 by 16, it's 16 by 14. And this is probably 18 by 16 deep. So it creates waveforms, and the drums tend to resonate longer. So this snare drum, I believe, is an aluminum 6.5 with the new, it's got the mag throw off. If I'm on this level, I can get it like a more loose, open sound. I put it in the middle. It's kind of medium tight. And if I turn it all the way that way, very tight. And it depends on what kind of song. This way you don't have to change snare drums while you're playing. And that's pretty much, I'll alternate between all sorts of different DW snare drums I've got. I have a whole lot of wood snare drums that they make. So it just depends on the kind of song I'm doing. Also, I'll use smaller drums too. I'll use 18-inch bass drum or 20-inch bass drum. I also have a 26-inch DW bass drum, depending on what I'm doing with that. And that gets me into Paiste Cymbals. And I'm very, very blessed to have two signature instruments out. This one is the JR Signature Deep Ride. Is a beast. But the nice thing about this ride cymbal is that it still is delicate. It still can play really lightly, even though it's a massive cymbal. So you can basically play, or you can go. And notice on it, it's got my signature groove, which is Intro to Rock With You. And so what we did was, in that same line, I came up with a swish ride cymbal. I've always liked swish cymbals, and a lot of people just use them as big chinas, but we did the same concept out of the 2002 alloy and made another ride out of it, but it's got some little more pang to it. So, I could do And my crashes, generally in studio size mode, are signature fulls. I use a 20 on my left and a 19 on my right. And these are the most, to me, the best crashes that Paiste makes. I've used these in orchestras of over 100-fold or even in trios. And if I'm doing a little more of a smooth jazz or a jazz record, I'll go up one whole size. I'll go to a 19 here and an 18 here, or even smaller. And then I usually like some sort of an opposite sound, so I switched over to, this is a 22 big beat, which is quite large. You want them to blend with your kit. You want them to accent. This is my jewelry. And right now I'm working on these 900 series heavy 15s. They've got a nice crisp chick to them. They handle all sorts of really tightness, crispness, and yet they're high-pitched enough without being kind of out of the range. Then as far as Drumheads go, again, I've been with Remo, golly, I don't know how many decades. We're using like a P3 on the bass drum side. On all the tops, I'm using Emperor clears. on these particular drums. However, you can get away with using coateds on any DW drum. And on the snare drum, I've always upped it up to an Emperor X, which is a 20 millimeter head. What it is it lasts longer. So that's kind of what I do in the studio, and I use the same thing live too. So my new innovative percussion signature drumsticks. So anyway, thank you very much and enjoy it. And cut.